The first stone hit Lady Rosalind Pemberton's shoulder as she walked through the village square. She did not cry out. She had learned long ago that showing pain only made them throw harder. "Monster's bride!" a woman shrieked from the bakery doorway. Rosalind pulled her cloak tighter around her thin frame. The fabric was worn but clean. She kept everything clean. It was one of the few dignities she had left. Her basket swung at her side, empty except for the bread she had managed to buy before the shouting started. A young boy darted forward and spit at her feet. His mother laughed. Rosalind kept walking. Her face burned with shame, but she held her head steady. If she ran, they would chase her. She knew this from experience. "How does it feel to sleep next to a beast?" someone called out. Rosalind's chest tightened. She wanted to scream that he was not a beast, that Lord Blackwood had been kind to her, that his scarred face hid the gentlest heart she had ever known. But her voice would not come. It never did when she needed it most. The village square seemed to stretch on forever. Each step felt like walking through mud. Finally, she reached the edge of town where the cobblestones gave way to dirt road. The jeering faded behind her. Only then did she allow herself to breathe fully. The walk back to Blackwood Manor took an hour. Rosalind did not mind. The autumn woods were peaceful. Red and gold leaves danced in the breeze. Birds sang in the branches above. Here, no one stared at her. No one whispered behind their hands. She thought about the first time she had walked this road. It had been her wedding day 6 months ago. She had been so frightened then. Her stepmother had sold her to Lord Blackwood like a piece of furniture. "No one else will have you," the woman had said with a cruel smile. "You should be grateful he's willing to take such a plain, useless girl." Rosalind had believed her. At 23, she was considered old for marriage. Her father had died when she was young, leaving everything to her stepmother. The woman had made sure Rosalind knew she was a burden. Servants were ordered not to speak kindly to her. She was given the smallest room in the house. Her clothes were hand-me-downs that never quite fit. When Lord Blackwood's offer came, her stepmother had accepted immediately. Everyone knew the story of Lord Edmund Blackwood. He had been handsome once, they said. Then a fire had destroyed half his face and taken his left eye. He had retreated to his manor and never shown himself in society again. People called him the Beast of Blackwood. They said he was violent and mad with grief. Rosalind had been terrified on her wedding day. The ceremony took place in the manor's small chapel. Lord Blackwood had stood in shadows, his face hidden by a mask. His voice had been quiet and hoarse when he spoke his vows. She had barely whispered hers. But then something unexpected had happened. He had been kind. That first night he had not come to her chambers. Instead, a servant had brought her a tray of food and a note in careful handwriting. "Please rest. You have had a long day. We will speak in the morning when you are ready." The next day he had met her in the library. He still wore his mask, but his visible eye had been gentle. "I know this is not what you would have chosen," he had said. "I will not force my company upon you. You have your own rooms. You may go anywhere in the house and gardens. I ask only that you join me for dinner when you are comfortable doing so." Rosalind had not known what to say. She had expected demands and cruelty. Instead, he offered her freedom within his home. That night she had cried into her pillow. But for the first time in years, the tears had been from relief rather than pain. Slowly, carefully, they had built something between them. She started joining him for dinner after a week. He was educated and interesting. He told her about his books and his travels before the accident. She found herself talking too, sharing small thoughts she had never dared speak aloud before. He never touched her without warning, never raised his voice. When she flinched at sudden movements, he moved more slowly. When she struggled to speak in front of others, he spoke for her without making her feel weak. Edmund had a twin brother, she learned, Lord Adrian Blackwood. The perfect one, Edmund called him with bitter humour. Adrian had been travelling abroad when Edmund's accident happened. He had stayed away for 5 years. "He cannot bear to look at me," Edmund had told her once. I remind him that life can be cruel and random. 3 months into their marriage, Edmund had removed his mask during dinner. Rosalind had seen the scarred tissue, the empty eye socket, the twisted skin. She had reached across the table and touched his hand. "Thank you for trusting me," she had said. He had wept. She had never seen a man cry before. She had held his hand until he composed himself. After that night, he stopped wearing the mask when they were alone. People in the village did not understand. They saw a monster and his purchased bride. They did not see the man who left flowers outside her door, who asked about her day and listened to her answers, who never once made her feel small or stupid or unwanted. Rosalind climbed the hill toward the manor. The stone building rose against the grey sky. It was not cheerful, but it had become home. She thought about Edmund waiting in his study. He would ask about her walk. She would lie and say it was pleasant. He would know she was lying, but would not press. Then they would have tea together, and he would read to her from whatever book he was enjoying. It was not the passionate romance from novels, but it was safe and gentle, and more than she had ever dreamed of having. She was content. More than content. She was grateful. Rosalind entered through the kitchen door. The cook, Mrs. Davies, looked up from her work. "Lady Blackwood," she said warmly. Mrs. Davies had been kind from the start. "His lordship is asking for you. He's in the study." Rosalind set down her basket and removed her cloak. She smoothed her plain brown dress and tucked a strand of mousy hair behind her ear. She had never been pretty. Her face was too thin, her features too sharp. But Edmund had once told her that her eyes were beautiful. "Like clear water," he had said. She treasured that compliment more than any jewel. She walked through the quiet halls to the study. The door was open. Edmund sat at his desk, bent over a letter. Even seated, his size was apparent. He was a large man, made larger by his stillness. When he looked up and saw her, his scarred face softened into something like a smile. "You're back," he said. "I was beginning to worry." "The walk was longer today," she said. It was not quite a lie. He studied her face. His good eye was dark and seeing. They were cruel again. It was not a question. Rosalind sat in the chair across from him. "It doesn't matter." "It matters to me." The anger in his voice was not directed at her. It never was. Edmund had protected her from the first day. He had ordered the servants to treat her with respect. He had dismissed a footman who had made a rude comment. He had even stopped going to the village himself because his presence made things harder for her. "I'm all right," Rosalind said. "Truly." Edmund looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he changed the subject. "I received a letter from Adrian. He's coming home." Rosalind's eyes widened. "Your brother? After all these years?" "He says he's ready to face his ghosts." Edmund's voice was flat. "He'll arrive tomorrow." "How do you feel about that?" Edmund was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know," he finally said. "Part of me wants to see him. Part of me wants to send him away." "He's your brother," Rosalind said gently. "Family matters." "You're my family now," Edmund replied. The words were simple, but fierce. "You're the only one who stayed." Rosalind felt warmth spread through her chest. She had never had anyone claim her like that. "I'll stay as long as you'll have me," she said. "Forever then," Edmund said. "If you're willing." It was the closest he had come to a declaration of love. Rosalind's throat tightened with emotion. "Forever," she agreed. They had tea together. Edmund read to her from a book about distant lands. His voice was rough but soothing. Rosalind let the words wash over her. She felt safe here in this room with this man. Whatever tomorrow brought with Adrian's arrival, they would face it together. That night, Rosalind lay in her bed and thought about the future. She had been broken when she came here, used and discarded by everyone who should have loved her. But Edmund had shown her that she had worth, that she deserved kindness. She was healing here, piece by piece. She did not know that tomorrow would change everything, that the safe life she had built would shatter, that Edmund's love would demand the ultimate price, that she would lose him in the most devastating way possible. She did not know that a different man would take his place, a man with the same face but a different heart, a man who would both confuse and awaken her. Tonight, she simply felt grateful. She whispered a prayer of thanks into the darkness and closed her eyes. Sleep came easily. Tomorrow, everything would burn. The accident happened on a bright autumn morning. Edmund had gone riding, something he rarely did. But Adrian was coming, and Edmund wanted to clear his head. Rosalind had waved to him from the garden. He had smiled and tipped his hat. 2 hours later, a servant came running to the house, shouting for help. There had been an accident. Lord Blackwood's horse had thrown him. He had fallen badly. Rosalind ran. She picked up her skirts and ran faster than she thought possible. She found Edmund lying in a ravine at the edge of the property. His leg was bent at a wrong angle. Blood soaked his coat. But he was conscious, and when he saw her, he tried to smile. "Don't look so frightened," he said. His voice was weak. "I've survived worse." They carried him back to the house on a door. The doctor was sent for. Rosalind stayed by Edmund's side, holding his hand. He squeezed her fingers. "I'm sorry," he kept saying. "I'm sorry to worry you." "Hush," Rosalind told him. "Save your strength." The doctor arrived and examined Edmund behind closed doors. When he emerged, his face was grave. "The leg is broken in 3 places," he said. "There's internal bleeding. I've done what I can, but his lordship is in God's hands now." Rosalind felt the world tilt. "No," she whispered. "No, he'll recover. He has to." The doctor's eyes were pitying. "Prepare yourself, Lady Blackwood. It would be a miracle if he survives the night." She refused to accept it. She sat beside Edmund's bed and talked to him. She read to him from his favourite books. She held his hand and told him stories about the life they would have, the places they would visit when he was well, the garden they would plant together. Edmund drifted in and out of consciousness. During his lucid moments, he looked at her with such love that it broke her heart. "You made me happy," he told her once. "I want you to know that. These months with you were the best of my life." "Stop talking like that," Rosalind said fiercely. Tears streamed down her face. "You're not leaving me. I won't allow it." He smiled. "My brave girl. When did you get so fierce?" "You made me fierce," she said. "You showed me I was worth something. You can't leave me now." "Rosalind." He said her name like a prayer. "If I don't survive this, promise me something." "Don't." "Promise me you'll keep living, that you won't go back to believing you're worthless. You're not. You're everything good and kind and beautiful." Rosalind sobbed. "I promise. But you're going to be fine. You have to be." Night fell. Edmund's breathing grew laboured. Rosalind held his hand and prayed. She bargained with God. She would do anything, be anything, if only Edmund could live. Around midnight, a commotion sounded downstairs. Voices, footsteps. Then the bedroom door burst open. A man stood in the doorway. He looked exactly like Edmund, but whole, unmarked, perfect. "Adrian," Edmund whispered from the bed. Lord Adrian Blackwood stood frozen, staring at his brother. 5 years he had been gone. 5 years of running from guilt and grief. Now he was home, and he was too late. "Edmund," Adrian said. His voice cracked. "Brother." Edmund's breathing was shallow. "You came." "I should have come sooner." Adrian moved to the bed. He knelt beside it. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I stayed away." "Not your fault," Edmund managed. "My own pride. Didn't want you to see me ruined." "You're not ruined. You never were." Edmund's good eye focused on Adrian. "Take care of her," he said. "Rosalind, promise me." Adrian looked at Rosalind for the first time. She was small and thin with red-rimmed eyes. Her face was plain and streaked with tears. She looked utterly devastated. "I promise," Adrian said. Edmund squeezed Rosalind's hand one more time. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything." Then he closed his eye and stopped breathing. Rosalind screamed. It was a sound of pure anguish, torn from somewhere deep inside her. She collapsed over Edmund's body, sobbing his name. Adrian stood helplessly, watching his brother's widow fall apart. The next hours were a blur. The doctor confirmed what they already knew. Servants came to prepare the body. Rosalind refused to leave. She clung to Edmund's cold hand until Adrian gently pulled her away. "He's gone," Adrian said softly. "Let them do their work." Rosalind looked up at him. For a moment, her grief-clouded mind was confused. Edmund's face stared back at her, but unmarked and whole. "You look so much like him," she whispered. "We were identical," Adrian said, "before the fire. He talked about you. He missed you." Adrian's jaw tightened. "I missed him too. I was a coward for staying away." Rosalind was too exhausted to comfort him. She let him lead her to her chambers. A maid helped her into bed. Rosalind stared at the ceiling and felt completely empty. Edmund was gone. The one person who had ever been truly kind to her was dead. She wanted to die too. But she had made a promise. She would keep living. She would honor Edmund's memory by believing what he had taught her, that she had worth, that she deserved kindness, even if right now she could not feel it at all. The funeral took place 3 days later. It rained, which seemed fitting. Rosalind stood by the grave in her black dress and watched them lower Edmund into the ground. She did not cry. She had no tears left. Adrian stood beside her, tall and solid. People kept staring at him. Whispers rippled through the small crowd. No one had seen the Blackwood twin in 5 years. His return for the funeral was scandalous gossip. Rosalind barely noticed. She was numb, floating outside her own body. She heard the priest's words without comprehending them. She watched the coffin disappear without truly seeing it. When it was over, Adrian touched her elbow. "Come, let's get you inside." She let him guide her back to the manor. People tried to offer condolences, but Adrian deflected them. He seemed to understand that Rosalind could not bear social niceties right now. Inside, the house felt too quiet. Edmund's absence was everywhere. His book left open in the study, his coat hanging in the hall, his scent still lingering in the rooms. Rosalind went to her chambers and lay down. She stayed there for days. Mrs. Davies brought food that she barely touched. The maid opened curtains that Rosalind immediately closed again. Adrian came to her door on the 5th day. "Lady Blackwood," he called. "May I speak with you?" Rosalind did not answer. After a moment, she heard his footsteps retreat, but the next day he came again, and the next. Each time he asked permission to enter. Each time Rosalind stayed silent. On the 8th day, Adrian did not ask. He simply opened the door and walked in. Rosalind lay on the bed, staring at nothing. "This has to stop," Adrian said. His voice was firm but not unkind. "Edmund would not want this." "Edmund is dead," Rosalind said. Her voice was hoarse from disuse. "Yes, and grieving him is right, but starving yourself is not." Rosalind turned her head to look at him. He stood by the window with morning light streaming around him. He looked so much like Edmund that her chest ached. But there were differences. Adrian's face was harder, his jaw more set. His eyes lacked Edmund's gentle warmth. "Why do you care?" Rosalind asked. "Because I promised my brother I would take care of you." "I don't need taking care of." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Don't you? When was the last time you ate, or bathed, or left this room?" Rosalind felt a flicker of anger. It was the first emotion besides grief she had felt in days. I didn't ask for your help. No, but you have it anyway. He crossed the room and opened her wardrobe. Get up, get dressed, come downstairs and eat something. Do this for Edmund, if not for yourself. Rosalind wanted to refuse, wanted to tell him to leave her alone, but something in his tone reminded her of her promise. She had told Edmund she would keep living. So far, she was breaking that promise. Fine, she said. But then leave me alone. Adrian nodded. Agreed. He left the room. Rosalind forced herself to sit up. Her body felt heavy and weak, but she managed to stand. She washed her face and changed into a clean dress. Each movement took enormous effort. When she came downstairs, Adrian was waiting in the dining room. A simple breakfast was laid out. Rosalind sat and picked at the food. Adrian ate his own meal in silence. Thank you, Rosalind said finally. The words felt rusty. For what? For not giving up. Adrian met her eyes. Edmund loved you. That makes you family. I take care of family. Rosalind felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. He loved you too. He wanted you to come home. I know. I regret that I didn't come sooner. Why did you stay away? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Guilt, he said finally. I wasn't there when the fire happened. Edmund was trying to save me from my own mistakes, and he paid the price. I couldn't face him after that. It wasn't your fault, wasn't it? Adrian's voice was bitter. He was protecting me, always protecting his foolish younger brother. Younger by 5 minutes, he told me. Adrian's lips twitched. He always did hold those 5 minutes over my head. It was the smallest moment of warmth. Rosalind felt something shift in her chest. Not healing exactly, but maybe the first tiny step toward it. What will you do now? She asked. Stay, I think. This is my home too. Unless my presence makes you uncomfortable. Rosalind considered. It did hurt to look at him. He was a living reminder of what she had lost. But he was also all she had left of Edmund. You can stay, she said. Thank you. They finished breakfast in silence. Afterward, Adrian stood. I have business to attend to, but I'll see you at dinner? It was phrased as a question. Rosalind appreciated that. Yes, she said. I'll be there. Adrian nodded and left. Rosalind sat alone in the dining room. Sunlight streamed through the windows. Dust motes danced in the air. The house was quiet but not oppressive. She had survived another day. It was enough for now. The weeks passed slowly. Rosalind emerged from her grief piece by piece. It was not easy. Some days she could barely function. Other days were better. Adrian gave her space, but made sure she ate. He did not try to replace Edmund. He simply existed in the house, a steady presence. Rosalind noticed things about him. He woke early and spent hours in the study managing estate business. He was meticulous and organized. He treated the servants with respect, but kept them at a distance. He rarely smiled. At dinners, they talked little at first. But gradually, conversation came easier. Adrian told her about his travels. He had been to Italy and Greece and Egypt. He had studied art and architecture. He had tried to outrun his pain by filling his life with beauty. Did it work? Rosalind asked. No, Adrian admitted. I just felt empty in beautiful places instead of familiar ones. Rosalind understood that. She had learned that you could not run from yourself. The wounds came with you wherever you went. She told Adrian about her own life, about her stepmother's cruelty, about feeling worthless for so many years, about how Edmund had saved her in ways that had nothing to do with marriage. He saw you, Adrian said. Really saw you. Edmund had that gift. He saw you too, Rosalind said. He told me you were brilliant and kind and brave. He never blamed you for the fire. Maybe he should have. Don't dishonor his judgment by arguing with it. Adrian looked at her sharply. Then something like respect entered his eyes. You're stronger than you look. Edmund taught me that. No, Adrian said. Edmund helped you see what was already there. The words settled into Rosalind's heart. She thought about them long after dinner ended. 3 months after Edmund's death, something shifted. Rosalind went to the study to find a book and discovered Adrian working at Edmund's desk. For a moment, disorientation seized her. The profile was so familiar, the set of his shoulders, the way he held his pen. Adrian looked up. "I'm sorry. I should have asked before using this room." "It's fine," Rosalind said, but her voice shook. Adrian stood. "No, it's not. This was Edmund's space. I'll move my things." "Where will you work?" "I'll figure something out." Rosalind took a breath. "Stay. Edmund would want the room used. It shouldn't sit empty." "Are you sure?" "Yes." But Rosalind left quickly before the tears could come. She went to the garden and sat on a stone bench. The late winter air was cold but clear. She wrapped her cloak around herself and cried. She missed Edmund so much it physically hurt. But the pain was changing. The sharp agony was becoming a dull ache. She could breathe around it now, could think of him without breaking completely. Footsteps crunched on the gravel. Adrian appeared with 2 cups of tea. He handed her one and sat beside her. He did not speak, just sat there in companionable silence. "Thank you," Rosalind said. "For what?" "For staying. For not letting me disappear into grief. Edmund asked me to take care of you." "Is that the only reason?" Adrian was quiet. Then, "No." "What's the other reason?" "You remind me that life can be good, that there's more than just running and hiding." Rosalind looked at him. His profile was strong and sad. "We're both running," she said, "aren't we? You from guilt, me from worthlessness." "Maybe. Edmund would tell us to stop." "He would." Adrian smiled slightly. "He was always braver than me." "He said you were the brave one." "Then we both lied to him about each other." Rosalind laughed. It was a small sound, rusty from disuse, but it was real. Adrian looked surprised, then pleased. "You should laugh more," he said. "It suits you." Rosalind felt heat rise in her cheeks. She was not used to compliments. "I'll try." They sat in the garden until the tea grew cold. Then Adrian walked her back inside. At the base of the stairs, he paused. "I'm glad you're here," he said. "I think you're keeping me sane, too." Rosalind did not know what to say, so she simply nodded and went upstairs. But the warmth of his words stayed with her. That night, she dreamed of Edmund. He was whole and happy in the dream. He smiled at her and said, "Don't be afraid. It's all right to keep living." She woke with tears on her face, but for the first time they felt clean, like a release rather than a wound. Spring came. The gardens bloomed. Rosalind spent her days outdoors, helping the gardeners plant flowers. The work was physical and satisfying. Her hands grew dirty. Her skin grew sun-touched. She felt more alive than she had in months. Adrian watched her from the study windows. He found himself drawn to those windows more and more, watching her move through the gardens with growing confidence, seeing her smile at the servants, hearing her voice grow stronger. She was changing. The broken girl who had arrived after Edmund's death was becoming someone new, someone sure and capable. Adrian felt pride and something else, something he tried not to name. One afternoon, a carriage arrived at the manor. Rosalind was in the garden when she heard the commotion. She went to investigate and found her stepmother standing in the foyer. Rosalind stopped dead. Her heart began to race. All the old fears came flooding back. She felt small again, worthless again. "There you are," her stepmother said. Her voice was cold and assessing. "I heard poor Lord Blackwood passed. Such a tragedy." Rosalind could not speak. Her throat had closed. "I've come to collect you, of course. You'll return home now. We can find you another arrangement." Another arrangement. Like she was furniture to be resold. Rosalind felt dizzy. Lady Blackwood is not going anywhere. Adrian's voice cut through the panic. He appeared beside Rosalind, solid and protective. Who are you? He demanded. I'm her stepmother. And you are? Lord Adrian Blackwood, Edmund's twin, and now head of this household. The stepmother's eyes widened. Then they narrowed with calculation. I see. Well, Lord Blackwood, surely you understand that Rosalind has no place here now. She was married to your brother. With him gone, she should return to her family. Her family? Adrian's voice was ice. From what I understand, you sold her to my brother like property. That doesn't sound like family to me. How dare you? No. Adrian stepped forward. How dare you come here and try to remove her? Lady Blackwood is mistress of this house. She stays as long as she wishes. You, however, will leave. Now. The stepmother sputtered. This is outrageous. I have rights. You have nothing. Leave before I have you forcibly removed. Adrian's tone left no room for argument. The stepmother glared at both of them. Then she turned and swept from the house. Rosalind heard the carriage leave. She stood frozen, shaking. Adrian turned to her. Are you all right? Rosalind tried to speak. No words came. Suddenly she could not breathe. The room spun. She felt herself falling. Adrian caught her. He lifted her easily and carried her to the drawing room. He set her on the sofa and knelt beside her. Breathe, he said firmly. You're safe. She's gone. Rosalind gasped for air. Her chest hurt. Her hands trembled violently. Look at me, Adrian commanded. Focus on my voice. Breathe in slowly. Hold it. Now out. That's it. Again. Rosalind followed his instructions. Gradually, her breathing steadied. The panic receded. She became aware that Adrian was holding both her hands. His grip was warm and solid. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't apologize. That woman terrifies you. That's understandable. She's right, though. I don't belong here anymore. That's absolutely wrong. Adrian's voice was fierce. You belong here as much as I do. More, even. This was your home with Edmund. It's still your home. But people will talk. A widow living with her husband's brother. Let them talk. I don't care about gossip. Do you? Rosalind thought about that. Once she would have been paralyzed by what others thought, but Edmund had taught her differently. No, she said. I don't. Good. Adrian released her hands. Rosalind felt their absence immediately. She looked at him kneeling beside the sofa. His eyes were intense, concerned. Something else she could not name. Thank you, she said, for defending me. Always, Adrian replied. The word felt like a promise. That night, Rosalind lay in bed and thought about what had happened. Her stepmother had come to drag her back into darkness, but Adrian had stopped her. He had stood between Rosalind and her past. He had called her the mistress of the house. More importantly, Rosalind had stood her ground. She had not immediately agreed to leave. Some part of her had known she belonged at the manor. That was new. That was growth. Edmund would be proud. The thought made her smile into the darkness. Something was changing between Adrian and Rosalind. They both felt it, but neither acknowledged it. Their dinners grew longer, their conversations deeper. They began taking walks together in the gardens. Adrian told her about art. Rosalind told him about books. Adrian found himself thinking about her constantly. The way she tucked hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about something she loved, the rare smiles that transformed her plain face into something luminous. He felt guilty about it. Edmund had been dead only 5 months. Adrian had no right to develop feelings for his brother's widow, but the heart did not follow rules of propriety. Rosalind struggled with similar thoughts. She still loved Edmund, would always love him. But Adrian was becoming important to her in a different way. He made her laugh, made her think, made her feel protected and valued. When she looked at him, she no longer saw only Edmund's ghost. She saw Adrian, his own person with his own qualities, his discipline, his hidden kindness, the way he tried so hard to do the right thing. One evening they were reading in the library. It had become their habit. Adrian at the desk, Rosalind on the sofa, companionable silence between them. "May I ask you something?" Rosalind said. "Of course. Do you ever resent me for being here, for being what kept Edmund tied to this place?" Adrian looked up sharply. "No, never." "Are you certain?" He stood and came to sit beside her. "Edmund married you because he chose to. He loved you. That love made him happier than I had seen him in years. How could I possibly resent that? But if he hadn't been married, he might not have been riding that day. He might still be alive. Or he might have died a lonely, bitter man." Adrian's voice was gentle but firm. "You gave him joy, Rosalind. You gave him a reason to live fully, even if it was brief. That's a gift, not a curse." Rosalind felt tears threaten. "I miss him." "So do I." They sat in silence. The weight of shared grief hung between them. But also something else, something that felt like understanding, like connection. "He would want us to be happy," Adrian said quietly. "Both of us." "I know. Do you think we can be? Happy, I mean, eventually?" Rosalind looked at him. His face was serious and hopeful at once. "Maybe," she said, "with time." "I have plenty of time," Adrian said. "I'm not going anywhere." The words felt significant, like a declaration. Rosalind's heart beat faster. She was not ready to examine why. Spring turned to early summer. The days grew long and warm. Rosalind bloomed along with the gardens. Her face gained colour. Her body grew stronger. Her confidence increased daily. The servants noticed the change. Mrs. Davies smiled to see her ladyship laughing with Lord Adrian. The maids gossiped about how his lordship watched her ladyship when she was not looking. Everyone agreed that something was happening between them. Adrian knew he was falling in love. He fought against it at first. It felt like a betrayal of Edmund. But gradually, he realized that Edmund would approve. His brother had loved Rosalind, had wanted her to be happy. Surely that meant Edmund would want someone to care for her after he was gone. And Adrian did care for her. More than care. He was captivated by her strength and kindness, by the way she had survived so much cruelty and remained good, by her quiet intelligence and growing confidence. He loved her. The realization hit him one morning as he watched her in the garden. She was laughing at something the gardener said. The sun caught her hair, turning it golden. She looked free and happy and utterly beautiful. Adrian loved her, and it terrified him. One evening they walked in the gardens after dinner. The air was soft with the scent of roses. The sun was setting in brilliant colors. Rosalind stopped by a fountain and trailed her fingers in the water. "This is my favorite time of day," she said. "Everything feels peaceful." Adrian stood beside her. "You seem happy." "I am. As happy as I can be, given everything." "Edmund would be glad." "So would you," Rosalind said. She looked up at him. "You've been so good to me, Adrian. Better than I deserved." "You deserve everything good." The words came out more intensely than he intended. Rosalind caught her breath. Something sparked in the air between them. "Adrian," she began. He should step back, should break this moment. Instead, he moved closer. "Tell me to stop," he said quietly. "Tell me this is wrong and I'll never speak of it again." "What are you saying?" "You know what I'm saying. You must know." Rosalind's eyes were wide. "We can't. Edmund would want you to be happy. He told me to take care of you." "This isn't what he meant." "Are you sure?" Adrian reached out and gently touched her cheek. "Because I think he knew. I think he saw what I was too blind to see, that you would heal me like you healed him. I'm not healed, Rosalind whispered. I'm still broken inside. So am I. Maybe we can be broken together. Rosalind closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her cheeks. Adrian caught them with his thumb. I love you, he said. I didn't mean to. I fought against it. But I do. I love you. You look like him, Rosalind said. How do I know this is real? How do I know I'm not just trying to get him back? Adrian's hand fell away. The words hurt, but they were fair. You don't, he said. Maybe you never will. But I'm not Edmund. I'm myself. And I see you for who you are. Not a replacement for anyone. Just you, Rosalind. He stepped back. Forget I said anything. We'll go back to how things were. No. Rosalind opened her eyes. We can't. Because you're right. I do know. I've been feeling it too. Hope flared in Adrian's chest. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm terrified. I'm saying this feels wrong and right at the same time. I'm saying I don't know if I'm betraying Edmund or honoring him. So what do we do? Rosalind looked at him for a long moment. Then she made a decision. She reached up and touched his face. Not Edmund's scarred face, but Adrian's whole one. We take our time, she said. We move slowly. We figure this out together. I can do slow, Adrian said. I can do anything you need. Can you be patient? For you? Yes. Rosalind smiled slightly. Then tell me again what you said before. I love you. Again. I love you, Rosalind. You, not a ghost or a memory. You. Rosalind leaned forward and rested her forehead against his chest. Adrian wrapped his arms around her carefully. They stood that way as the sun set and stars emerged. Two broken people holding each other, beginning to believe they might be able to heal. The next weeks were confusing and wonderful. Adrian courted Rosalind slowly. He brought her flowers, wrote her notes, asked permission before every touch. He was patient and gentle, never pushing for more than she was ready to give. Rosalind found herself falling despite her fears. Adrian was different from Edmund in many ways. Where Edmund had been gentle and yielding, Adrian was strong and protective. Where Edmund had been content to stay hidden, Adrian wanted to face the world. But in important ways, they were similar. Both men saw her, both valued her, both made her feel treasured. I'm not replacing him, Adrian said one evening. I could never replace Edmund, but I can love you in my own way. I know, Rosalind said. I'm beginning to understand that. They were in the garden, their usual spot. Adrian held her hand. It had taken him 2 weeks to work up the courage to reach for it. Now he held it like something precious. Will you come with me somewhere tomorrow? He asked. Where? Into the village. I have business there. Rosalind tensed. They hate me in the village. They hate what they don't understand, but I'll be with you. I won't let anyone hurt you. Adrian, I want to show them that you're respected, that you're valued, that you're mine. The last word hung in the air. Rosalind's heart pounded. Yours? Adrian brought her hand to his lips. If you'll have me. I know it's too soon. I know people will talk, but I don't care. I love you. I want to marry you. Rosalind's breath caught. Marry? When you're ready. A year from now, 5 years from now, whenever. Just say you'll consider it. Rosalind thought about it. 6 months ago she had been Edmund's wife. Now another man was proposing. The same face but a different heart. It should feel wrong, but it didn't. Yes, she said. I'll consider it. Adrian's face lit with joy. He pulled her close and kissed her forehead. Thank you. They went to the village the next day. Rosalind held Adrian's arm as they walked through the square. People stared. Whispers followed them. But Adrian held his head high and kept Rosalind close. At the bakery, a woman started to sneer. Adrian fixed her with a cold stare. "This is Lady Blackwood," he said clearly. "My brother's widow and my future wife. You will treat her with respect." The woman's jaw dropped. The bakery went silent. Then slowly, grudgingly, the woman curtsied. "My lady," she muttered. Rosalind stood straighter. Adrian squeezed her arm. They continued through the village like that, Adrian announcing their relationship, people responding with shock but also acceptance. By the end of the day, the village knew. Lady Blackwood was staying, and Lord Adrian Blackwood was claiming her. "You didn't have to do that," Rosalind said on the walk home. "Yes, I did. They needed to know you're under my protection, that you're not fair game for their cruelty. People will say terrible things about us. Let them. I spent 5 years caring what people thought. It made me miserable. I'm done with that." Rosalind felt something shift in her chest. For so long she had let others define her. First her stepmother, then the villagers. Even Edmund, in his kindness, had made her feel like someone to be protected. But Adrian was different. He protected her, but also empowered her, made her feel strong. "I think I'm falling in love with you," she said. Adrian stopped walking. He turned to her, his face full of wonder. "Say that again." "I'm falling in love with you. It terrifies me, but it's true." Adrian pulled her into his arms. He held her tight, his face buried in her hair. "I'll spend the rest of my life being worthy of that," he said. Rosalind held him back. For the first time since Edmund's death, she felt complete. Not because Adrian had replaced what she lost, but because he had given her something new. A different kind of love, one that challenged her and strengthened her. They walked home hand in hand. The future stretched before them, uncertain but full of promise. Summer deepened. Adrian and Rosalind's relationship became public knowledge. Some people disapproved. Her stepmother sent a scathing letter that Adrian burned without showing Rosalind. A few society matrons made cutting remarks, but mostly people accepted it. The servants were happy to see their master and mistress finding joy. The villagers gradually warmed to Rosalind, especially after Adrian made it clear she had his full support. Even the vicar gave his blessing, saying that God wanted them to find comfort in companionship. 1 year after Edmund's death, Adrian formally proposed. He did it in the garden at sunset, in the spot where he had first confessed his love. He knelt before Rosalind with a ring that had belonged to his mother. "I'm not asking you to forget Edmund," he said. "I'm asking you to build a new life with me, to let me love you and cherish you for all our days. Will you marry me, Rosalind?" Rosalind looked down at him. This man who looked like Edmund but was entirely himself. This man who had pulled her from grief and shown her she could love again. This man who saw her as strong and capable and beautiful. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I'll marry you." Adrian stood and kissed her. It was not their first kiss, but it felt momentous, like a promise of forever. They married in the small chapel where she had married Edmund. It felt right to have both ceremonies in the same place, like Edmund was giving his blessing. The ceremony was simple, just close friends and servants. Rosalind wore a blue dress instead of white. She wanted to honor that this was a second chance, not a first innocence. When Adrian spoke his vows, his voice was strong and sure. "I promise to love you, to protect you, to see you for who you truly are, to spend every day proving you made the right choice." When Rosalind spoke hers, she surprised herself with her confidence. "I promise to love you, to trust you, to build a life with you, to honor both what we lost and what we found." The vicar pronounced them husband and wife. Adrian kissed her deeply. Applause erupted from their small audience. At the reception, Mrs. Davies cried happy tears. The servants toasted the couple. Everyone agreed it was a beautiful new beginning. That night, Rosalind stood in her chambers, now truly their chambers, and waited for Adrian. She was nervous, but not afraid. This was different from her wedding night with Edmund. Then she had been terrified and broken. Now she was whole, ready. Adrian entered and stopped. "You're beautiful," he said. "I'm plain," Rosalind corrected automatically. "No," Adrian crossed to her. "You're beautiful. Your eyes, your smile, your strength, everything about you is beautiful to me." He touched her face gently. "We don't have to do anything tonight. I can wait as long as you need." "I don't want to wait," Rosalind said. "I'm ready. For all of this. For you." Adrian kissed her. Unlike their previous chaste kisses, this one was deep and passionate. Rosalind melted into it. She had spent so long being broken, now she was choosing to be whole. What happened next was tender and intimate, and entirely theirs. Adrian was gentle but not tentative. Rosalind was nervous but not frightened. They came together as equals, as partners, as two people choosing each other fully. Afterward, they lay tangled in sheets. Adrian held Rosalind close. "I love you," he murmured. "My brave, strong, beautiful wife." "I love you too," Rosalind said, and she meant it completely. Life settled into new patterns. Adrian and Rosalind were happy. Not the quiet contentment she had shared with Edmund, but something more vibrant. They laughed together, argued occasionally, made love frequently, built a life that was entirely theirs. Adrian taught Rosalind to ride. She was terrified at first, but he was patient. Eventually, she could gallop across the estate with confidence. She felt free on horseback, strong and capable. Rosalind helped Adrian reconnect with society. His guilt over Edmund had isolated him. But slowly, with Rosalind at his side, he began accepting invitations. They attended dinners and balls. People stared at first, but the couple's obvious happiness won them over. "You've changed him," Mrs. Davies told Rosalind one day. "Made him less haunted, more alive." "He changed me too," Rosalind said. "Made me believe I was worth loving." "You always were, my lady. Some of us just needed time to show you." 18 months after their marriage, Rosalind discovered she was pregnant. She told Adrian over dinner. He stared at her in shock. Then he laughed with pure joy. He lifted her and spun her around despite her laughing protests. "We're having a baby," he kept saying. "A baby!" "Are you happy?" Rosalind asked. "Happy? I'm ecstatic. Terrified, but ecstatic." The pregnancy was smooth. Rosalind bloomed with it. Adrian was overprotective in the sweetest way. He brought her strange foods she craved. He read to her when she was tired. He talked to her growing belly about all the things he would teach their child. One night, Rosalind woke to find Adrian sitting by the window. He looked troubled. She went to him. "What's wrong?" "I was thinking about Edmund," Adrian admitted. "Wishing he could see this. Wishing he could meet our child." Rosalind took his hand. "He knows. Wherever he is, he knows. And he's happy for us." "Do you really believe that?" "Yes. Edmund loved us both. He would want us to have this joy." Adrian pulled her close. "I miss him." "So do I. Every day. But I'm learning that it's possible to grieve what we lost and celebrate what we have." "When did you get so wise?" "When you taught me I was allowed to be." Their daughter was born on a spring morning. She had Adrian's dark hair and Rosalind's gray eyes. She was perfect. They named her Emma, after Adrian's mother. Her middle name was Edmund, "For the brother who brought us together," Adrian said as he held his tiny daughter, "and the man who taught us both how to love." Rosalind watched her husband cradle their child. Her heart was full to bursting. She had started her adult life broken and worthless. Edmund had shown her she had value. Adrian had shown her she had strength. Together, they had given her a family. The village had long since accepted her. Her stepmother had disappeared from their lives. The manor was filled with laughter and light. Rosalind had built a life beyond her wildest dreams. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about Edmund. She wondered what her life would have been like if he had lived. It would have been good, she thought, gentle and kind, but different from this. She did not regret what she had with Adrian. Edmund's death had been a tragedy, but it had also opened the door to a new kind of love, one that was fierce and passionate and equal. "Thank you," she whispered to Edmund's memory. "Thank you for saving me, for loving me, for sending me someone who could love me differently, but just as completely." The wind rustled through the garden. Rosalind liked to think it was Edmund's way of saying he understood, that he approved, that he was at peace. Years passed. Emma grew into a bright, confident child. She had the best of both her parents, Adrian's determination and Rosalind's kindness. The household adored her. When Emma was 5, Rosalind gave birth to a son. They named him Edmund Adrian. He had his uncle's gentle nature and his father's strength. Adrian and Rosalind watched their children play in the garden, the same garden where so much had happened, where Edmund had walked with Rosalind, where Adrian had confessed his love, where they had built their life together. "Do you ever regret it?" Rosalind asked. "Marrying your brother's widow? All the scandal?" "Never," Adrian said firmly. "You're the best thing that ever happened to me." "Even though people talked?" "Especially because people talked. It meant I got to prove them all wrong, got to show them that love doesn't follow rules." Rosalind leaned against him. "I love you. I love you too, more than I can ever express." Emma ran up to them. "Papa, Mama, come play!" Adrian lifted his daughter. "What shall we play?" "Knights and dragons!" "Am I the knight or the dragon?" "The dragon, silly. Mama is the knight. She's bravest." Adrian met Rosalind's eyes over their daughter's head. Pride and love shone in his gaze. "She is brave," he agreed. "The bravest person I know." Rosalind felt tears prick her eyes. Once she had been the girl everyone called worthless, the girl who believed she deserved nothing. Now she was a woman who had loved and lost and loved again. A woman who had found strength she never knew she possessed. A woman who was teaching her daughter that bravery came in many forms. Edmund had started her journey. He had shown her she was worth saving. Adrian had continued it. He had shown her she was worth fighting for. Together, they had transformed her. She was no longer broken. She was whole. She was loved. She was home. That night, after the children were asleep, Adrian and Rosalind stood in the garden. Stars glittered overhead. The air smelled of roses and possibility. "Do you remember the first time we stood here?" Adrian asked. "When I told you I loved you?" "Every detail," Rosalind said. "I was so afraid you would reject me, that you would say it was wrong. It felt wrong at first, but also inevitable." "Fate," Adrian said. "Maybe. Or maybe Edmund knew. Maybe he saw what we couldn't, that we would need each other. He always did see more than the rest of us." They stood in comfortable silence. Rosalind thought about the journey that had brought them here, the pain and the joy, the loss and the gain. It had not been easy, but it had been worth it. "I have no regrets," she said suddenly. Adrian looked at her. "None?" "None. Not about Edmund, not about you, not about any of it. My life has been hard, but it brought me here. To you, to our children, to this happiness. How can I regret that?" Adrian pulled her close. "You are extraordinary." "I'm just me." "Exactly. And that's extraordinary." He kissed her under the stars. It was a kiss full of promise and passion and deep, abiding love. Rosalind kissed him back with everything she had. They had both been broken when they met, both haunted by loss and guilt and pain, but they had healed each other, piece by piece, day by day. They had built something beautiful from the ashes of tragedy. The beast had died protecting her, but his twin brother had taken his place, not to replace what was lost, but to create something new, something just as precious, something that honored the past while embracing the future. Rosalind had learned the most important lesson of all, that love was not finite, that loving again did not diminish what came before, that the heart had infinite capacity to heal and grow and transform. She had been given 2 chances at love, 2 extraordinary men who saw her worth when she could not. Edmund had saved her from worthlessness. Adrian had saved her from grief. Together, they had made her complete. As she stood in Adrian's arms, surrounded by the life they had built, Rosalind sent one final thought to Edmund. I hope you're proud of us. I hope you see how we're living, how we're loving, how we're honoring everything you gave us. Thank you for being my first love, and thank you for sending me my second. The wind whispered through the garden, the stars shone bright, and Rosalind knew deep in her soul that Edmund was smiling, that he was at peace, that his sacrifice had brought them all to exactly where they were meant to be. She was home, she was loved, she was whole, and that was everything.